Hey guys, George here, and what I'd like to do today is bring to you a video about 5 key elements. I call them essential elements, perhaps, or pointers. Call them what you like, factors. 5 key elements that you need to know about how to use machine guns more effectively in order to improve your game. Now, the first thing you need to know about machine guns is they can be used for anti-armor. So I may have given in a previous video a tip to that effect where I used armor from early war. However, what you need to know about advanced squad leader, whether you have an LMG, MMG, or HMG, like in classic where it was MMG and up, a light machine gun can conceivably take out a tank with a critical hit. Or if it's slightly armored, you really don't care. You're a lumberjack and you want to take that shot. So let's take an example with a martyr here. Okay, so a martyr is an open top armored fighting vehicle. Let's say it's in motion. He goes a half to there because he is a tracked vehicle. Who cares about the shell holes? 1 to there. Now he expended 1 movement point in his line of sight, maybe 1.5. Let's take a look and see. We're declaring our fire, so over there, and maybe even more. Well, 1.5. Okay, 1.5 movement points to get into his line of sight. Now at this point, he wants to take a shot with the MMG on a 2-hit table. Okay, so I did find my charts, by the way, but let's take a look at the 2-hit table online. So here it is. Let's go to vehicle to hit, ordnance to hit. So we're firing on the vehicle target type. That's first and foremost. So he is 3 hexes away, so we're looking at the 0 to 6 range. All fine and dandy, so that's a base 10 to hit. None of these apply whatsoever, but from a target-based hit determination, what we need is J, which is a +2, and he expended, did he expend 1.5? Exactly 1 movement point. So it's another +2, which makes it a +4. Plus, in this case, we can use the leadership DRM on the 2-hit roll, but not on the 2-kill roll. So that's important. So base 10, +2 for case J, and another +2 for case J2, superscript 2, -1 for the leadership. That would be a 7 to hit, 10 minus 3. All right, let's do the 2-hit shot. To hit. Rolled a 6. I need a 7. And I got right. That's the second most important thing. I got right. Now, let's look at the 2-kill. I don't want the casualty bin, I want this. There you go. Let's take a look at the 2-kill. So the range is 3, and that's important to know because, oh, darn, I forgot to add that it's a small target. It was 6 to hit. And I got a 6 and right. Okay. And unfortunately, you don't get any acts with machine guns, but still, they're a thing to be reckoned with. So vehicle to kill. NG is a base 4. At that range, 1, 2, 3, we're looking at less than 25 millimeter, I believe. And if it was 50 cal, it might have been more. So it's another +1. So it's a base 5 to kill now. All right. -1 for the armor. Makes it a 5 to kill. So let's roll on the 2-kill table. Nothing. Now I can have a second shot, but he only expended a half a movement point there. So he comes closer. Boom. Okay. Now, don't forget, I kept right on the MMG. So let's try 2-kill again. would practically be the same as before. Now that's a clear miss, but notice with the rate of 2, I get 2 shots on that. Now, alternatively, I could have fired a 8 up, up 1, plus 2 for the um, crew exposed, minus 1 for the leader, and a taken a probability that I affected the crew. But if you have the chance to be able to kill the armor, um, why not take it? Now, the other thing that's important to note is in this case, the range, I said the range matters because um, given the range, the closer the range, the higher the 2 kill number is increased. So at a range of 0 to 1, you increase your base 2 kill of 4 up to 6, plus the armor factors um, of the armored fighting vehicle. But again, if you roll snake eyes, that's a critical hit, and that means your 2 kill number will be increased for twofold. So that's number one. Number two, pretend you're dealing with a difficult enemy, and this fellow pops up. So we'll decide to take, and it's not assault movement. We'll decide to take an all-out um, 8 down 3 against this dude, and also declare a fire lane. And conceivably, these guys can declare a fire lane. So what happens in that case is the first shot is at full force, which means 8 down 3. Let's take that shot again and see what happens. That's a 2 on the 8, which means he's done for. So our roll was a 5 minus 3 is 2. So 2 on the 8 is a 1 KIA. He's done for. But since you're expecting his buddies to pop up from the woods and out of the cracks in the walls, what this fellow can do is declare a fire lane. The first attack was done at full fire power, and since it was at 4, he has a fire lane that he can lay down residuals across this road, across this hexside, at 2 firepower factors. I believe over here, we didn't keep, we kept rate, but we declared a fire lane, so that's the end of it. Now, your opponent will have to think twice before crossing the road. Similarly, this fellow can do a fire lane here and a fire lane this way, which means they can cover the board with a heck of a load of residuals, and probably delay the opponent or make him to hesitate. Fire lanes. That was number 2. First one, anti-armor. Second one, fire lanes. Third, spraying fire. And what do we mean by spraying fire? Let's focus in on the map. Let's zoom in as much as possible. I hope you guys can see this. All right, let's take an LMG and an MMG. So what does the underlying range mean? It means that these guys have spraying fire. So look for the underscore on the range factor, and you'll notice that they have spraying fire. The inherent squad does not. Sometimes we do have squads that do have spraying fire as well, like the 467. Okay, which is interesting. Now, suppose this fellow here is being overwhelmed by a bunch of German units. We have a German unit here. Let's put this fellow here. And a German unit about to pop in here. Actually, a German unit here and a German unit about to pop in here. So here, with the MMG, he can announce fire and spraying fire and put down residuals in 2 hexes. And he can fire with the MMG alone, and here it would be doubled and halved, and here it would be halved. So one residual here, and here would be 2. And at the same token, now this fellow would have to come in here, take the residual, plus, um, plus if we kept as a reserve the firepower of the squad can also fire in a hex with a higher 10. So spraying fire is important, and it's also a critical element in preventing a sleaze freeze. So if this fellow wants to come in there, which I highly do not recommend, because first of all, he's open top. Second of all, he doesn't have any machine guns to protect them. And the leader, a 9-1 leader with an MMG is considered suicide. But I'm just talking out loud about the um, sleaze freeze for prevention using spraying fire with your MMG to ensure that if the purpose of him was to freeze him so he can come up close, it won't work. Okay. Now, a second example is that machine guns offer complementary firepower. So I heard that the reason why American squads um, were 6 firepower as opposed to 4 firepower, the way they were designed was to take into consideration that U.S. squads had some form of automated fire, like the bar, inherent in the squad. Whereas the Germans, that was a separate unit. I'm not sure if that's true. I haven't gone into that much detail of that history, but here's what I'm trying to explain here with complementary power. You have a choice of 2 different squads, the 548 and the 467, and you can give the MMGs to the 467, but what does that give you? Well, it does give you a more firepower at a longer range, but at the shorter range, if you're dealing with an enemy that's up close and personal, all right, if you give the MMGs to the 548, let's put the 548 here in Victor 3, and in Tango 3, we got an American squad. If this squad approaches, or if this squad approaches this fellow, and this guy's the defender, he will have an 8 attack factor against him. Whereas if you give the MMGs to your 467s, like so, now he's facing only a 6 firepower attack. So what do you do in the case that you have the 548s with a mixture of nice goodies that only elite squads can fire? Well, an LMG, in addition to a DC or a flamethrower, all these weapons are 1 portage point each. So this squad or any other squad can carry up to 3 portage points without impediment to its movement factors. So allocate your machine gun fire to the right type of units to maximize their firepower. That is case number 4, or element number 4. And in case you're thinking that MMGs or machine guns are completely useless, let's look at Wilson with his HMG. HMG is considered a A weapon, and a type light AA as opposed to ordinary AA. So anti-aircraft guns ordinarily have to be marked with an AA counter in order to fire at aerial targets. And switching mode between ground and air reduces their rate of fire by 1. However, as light AA fire for an HMG, and that is in the reasoning behind that is marked and noted in footnote 20T1 of chapter E. So we got an HMG. It's mounted on a tripod. It can be shifted upwards very quickly and then switch to ground units pretty quickly as well. A fighter bomber comes within range, and this fellow here, and he's trying to do a, let's say, a point attack. This fellow here can fire at him with the HMG on the infantry fire table, and the fire is resolved. Let's go looking closely. I believe the leadership DRM does not count. Okay, and the firepower, the attack is resolved on the IFT table, on the star vehicle IFT table. And in this case, it would be 6 firepower, so he would need 6 or less to 6 would probably damage the airplane, uh, probably send it for recall, and less than 6 would outright eliminate it. I could be wrong about that. I'm going to do another video about that. I'm researching it. I'm just saying things off the top of my head. But the main takeaway here, and this is takeaway number 5, is that HMGs are light AA weapons. H8MGs, Hotel Mike George. So, in case you, oh, this is an 8. It's 8 firepower factors. So let's take a look at the chart again. So they would need on a star type weapon 7 or less, but you have, this is a one, the 1 star means that's a DRM that you have to apply to your to kill roll. 8 and a rate of fire of 3. Wow. So let's roll on that. See if we get it. IFT. Kaboom! He's out of the air. That's the power of an HMG for you. So knowing those 5 elements, key important characteristics about what you can do with LMGs can make a difference between victory and death or defeat. And that was probably the second tournament game that I played. That was early war. I think it was from Croix de Guerre. I had all these beautiful panzers, and they were all laid to waste because of LMG fire and their high rate of firepower and their high rates. So don't fall into that trap. Having said that, this concludes my video. It's 18 minutes long. I pre-recorded it on Thursday at 5:41 p.m. I schedule my videos to appear at 8 o'clock sharp Saturday morning. Time limits, I'm cooking some stew, and the stew is simmering. And don't kid yourselves, I used a cheap cut of meat and marinated it to soften it up. Things are battle all over these days, a bit like Cheech and Chong type of thing. Yeah. Anywho, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and subscribing. And do check out my video about the ASL coaster or phase wheel. It does fly, and it does, after smashing into the window, it did not smash the window, and it's still in one piece, so it's takes the licking and keeps on ticking. Yep, and thank you all for liking and subscribing again. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. George, over. See you soon. Take care.